My name is Meredith Foster, and I've been with Workday as a solution consultant for 3 years. Before coming to Workday, I was a teacher. What I love the most about this extreme career change is that Workday allowed me to have the software I needed to take control of my own career inside of the organization. As we go through this demonstration today, you'll be able to see how an employee engages with Workday, how a manager interacts and helps craft her employees to be better employees, and how an executive can really see the value of talent and performance coming together in one place. I'm going to be working in our live software, that single version of Workday that exists for all of our customers. Should I make any forward-looking statements, please understand that our safe harbor does apply. Workday operates on what we call the power of one. And what that means is that we have one single source of data, one security model, one experience for our users, whether it's on browser or iPhone or an Android or an iPad, and one community where our customers, partners, and employees can collaborate and share ideas and ask questions to come up with solutions to better utilize the software and help drive our future releases. All of this sits on one single platform. And on that foundation of the platform is really what differentiates Workday from any of our competitors. We run with one single business process framework across financials, Prism Analytics, planning, payroll, and HCM. We work on an object data model, allowing you to quickly and intuitively move through the system. Our reporting and analytics are pervasive inside the system. It's not a separate bolted-on tool. And we have one single security model. We knew that we weren't going to be everything for everyone out of the gate, so we built an integration cloud into the foundation of our software, allowing us to play well with others. And something we're very excited about in Workday is the idea of machine learning. We're able to stay in front of the technology and interact with Workday just like you would any of your other consumer applications. Now, this story takes place around the time that the retirees entered the workforce. Now back then, the career path was just very linear. They went to college, they went out into the workforce to find a job. They picked the very best company that they could work for, and they climbed up that ladder. Through this experience, they made a little bit of money. Maybe they bought a house. We know they had kids. And then they took off for some travel. Well, after the younger generation was out of the house, they then sailed off into retirement. So it was a very linear process as far as their lives were concerned. Well, as we know, a lot has changed in these few decades. The world's a completely new place. Technology has taken over those old career paths and basically, and almost like completely got rid of that flow of life. And if this wasn't enough, we've added new elements into the equation. We've added engagement. Engagement has completely shifted the workforce. Now let's talk about how. First off, millennials. Millennials have simply changed the way that we do business. They are our largest segment of the workforce population today, and they go against almost any legacy HR practices. Second, there's been a shift of growing for everyone in the organization, not just the select few. And the bell curve for rating people is simply not working anymore. We need to get everyone in the organization, no matter what their potential or their role, to work towards reaching the top of that potential. And third, as a result of number two, people look to others, voluntarily or not, for career coaching. And the business needs to be fostering these relationships, allowing people to collaborate and build their best person. So what do businesses do to solve these challenges? We marry talent and performance in one place. So this is where the role of talent and performance come to help. Talent is the function that helps the organization find the skills and the experience of their workforce. It's where programs are designed to develop employees' life and where succession planning begins. I like to think of this as the talent scout. Next, we have performance. This is where we see the assessment of employees being done. From goals to feedback to performance reviews, this is where the business is measuring the talent of the organization. As you can see, these two together are a match made in heaven. And many organizations have decided to invest heavily in this area. And why wouldn't you invest in something so critical? In fact, it should be mission critical. Because what we know, according to studies, is that companies that invest in the employee experience are 4 times as profitable. We're going to start this journey today with Marcus Severino. We're going to show you what it looks like for his employee experience, where he's able to continuously develop inside the organization, and it drives this engagement for him to come back and see more and want more, ultimately retaining him inside the organization. So meet Marcus Severino. Marcus is an employee who wants to stay inside the organization, but he's coming to that point in his career where he wants that upward movement and he wants to change into more of a people leadership role. So what does Marcus do and how does he interact with Workday? According to the Gallup Business Journal poll, the most important thing to employees is culture. And yet that same study identified that 87% of employees are disengaged from their current employer. Employees are the most expensive resource in most organizations, but HR systems of the past have not put employees at the heart of the solution. So as companies make this move away from talent management and towards people management, they need systems to help them focus on everyone's strengths, identifying the individual drivers of engagement, helping them find roles, and allowing people to leverage their skills, which empowers them to add value in the company. We make people enablement consumer-like and easy, which makes it engaging at Workday. So what does this experience look like for Marcus? Well, let's start by looking at the landing page. As you see the landing page, you notice things like personalized announcements that are delivering information that's relevant to Marcus. So no matter what role you have, you know that the announcements that are rolling through your Workday are going to be relevant to you. For example, in my personal Workday, because I travel, I'm always submitting expense reports. So as soon as we pushed out the opportunity to have OCR scanning on our receipts, that was the announcement that was on my landing page. However, one of my peers who doesn't do expense reports had a completely different announcement on her landing page. Now over here to the right, you see what we call worklets at Workday. Now at Workday, we really like the word work. So I have multiple workmates. I have 2 work dogs and 2 work babies. So at Workday, why wouldn't we call these apps worklets? All these worklets are areas for you to interact with Workday that are relevant to what role you hold in the organization. So as you can see for Marcus, most of his are employee self-service or direct access, areas where he can go to do things that are relevant to him as an employee. If he was to move into a management role, you'd start to see those applications and worklets changed based on the role that he holds inside the organization. And last but not least, you can see the inbox here. And the inbox is where your tasks sit. So this is his enterprise inbox, delivering him with things that he needs to do. So this is saying to him, you have to update your talent review, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and start here with his career application. This is where Marcus has all that he needs to own and to work with inside of his career. He can refer candidates, he can withdraw applications. Because of Workday's power of one, recruiting does not sit somewhere separate. Rather, it sits right inside of Workday. So as he goes to grow his career, he can also interact with the recruiting features and functionalities that are necessary to quickly move him through the process. For example, he can start here on his applications. And this is where you can see that he's applied internally for some jobs inside the system. Now, Marcus is right there on that cusp where he's really excited about growing his career, but he's not quite to the point where he wants to go work with a headhunter and try to find something outside of his company. Rather, he'd much rather stay inside his organization. Because Workday gives him the opportunity to do so with an easy manner, he knows exactly what's needed to help him grow his career in this organization. So as he looks at his applications, he's reminded that he was rejected and not quite ready for the 2 jobs that he's applied for. However, he's really grown and fine-tuned some of his skills and weaknesses in order to make him ready to make a career move. What he also realizes is that maybe in retrospect, he didn't apply for those roles that maybe aligned with his skills and his strengths. So he's going to take control of his career from here. So if he goes back to the opportunity graph, this is where Workday is internally recruiting Marcus. Actually, Whole Foods, one of our customers, approached Workday and said, you know what, we would really like a way for our workforce to be able to see their internal mobility and where they can go within the organization. So Workday, combined with other customers and Whole Foods, work together to develop the opportunity graph. And what the opportunity graph is doing is it's telling Marcus what might be a good fit for him. So in Workday, you'll see in a few minutes, he's going to have the opportunity to go add job interest in for himself that he thinks are the right fit for him. This is where Workday is taking the analytics that it has inside the system, and it's showing Marcus that several of his other peers have moved to these opportunities and been successful. So as you can see for the senior customer service rep, 35% have moved here. For the manager of global support, 18%. A call center manager, 6%. A marketing specialist. So this opportunity graph is providing Marcus with other opportunities that he might not have thought about, spanning across several different areas, from marketing to management to global jobs. So as he goes and looks at this manager of global support, he can see a quick understanding of what that might be. And as he taps into it a little bit more, he's now able to see things like the qualifications that are necessary for him to take this job. He can see the internal job positions that are open right now with this type of job. But more importantly, he's able to see learning that's relevant to this particular job as well. So he knows that when he goes into Workday Learning, he's actually doing learning experiences that will help him get from point A to point B. As he scrolls down a little bit more, he can see those peers in his organizations that have made this move and been successful. Because Workday is our core system of record, from here he can actually take action and maybe send Alan an email or contact him by phone to have a conversation with him to see what this move has looked like for him as he's gone through this thing that Marcus is thinking about doing. Now, without having to leave the system, with just one click, he can say, you know what, I really like this job and I do think it'll be a good fit for me. And he can go ahead with one click and add this to his job interest right here in Workday. Now, anytime you see this orange button, that means that we're inside a business process. So that means that this process is completely owned by your organization. So as he submits this, it can follow that business process framework, getting approvals or notifications that are necessary in order for him to do so. So he's going to go ahead and submit that business process. Now, anytime you see that green check, Marcus also knows that his part of this is completely and successfully completed. So now he's finished with that activity, and he's going to go back and take a little more ownership of his career with the new information he's just discovered. So he also has a dashboard. It's called the Talent and Performance Dashboard. Notice the announcements on the top are changing as he's going into different areas of Workday. So this is asking him things like internal career mobility. Are you looking to change inside the organization? If so, let us help you understand how. And hey, what's your next move? Go back into that opportunity graph and we'll help you figure out where you should go. Now down here on the bottom, he's got several different reports and actions that he can take. He can see his competency rating assessment, where he can see how he rates himself versus where his manager rates himself. So think about the power of that. For Marcus, he has the ability to now see where his manager and he may not be seeing eye to eye. That helps drive really important and relevant conversations from managers and employees alike. Now, he also can see his feedback down here. So he can see the feedback that he's been given. He's got 3 pieces of feedback. And as he's used those details, he can actually see what was said, who said it to them, and really see the feedback that he's getting from his peers. At Workday, feedback is absolutely a part of our culture inside the organization. I can tell you I find it incredibly important and exciting when I get to give or receive feedback from one of my peers. And because Workday is all in one system with performance, this feedback can be driven into your performance reviews, making you have a more comprehensive picture of how your employees are actually performing. So he can go and give feedback to an employee right here if he wants to. He also can get feedback, but we'll do that in just one second. Notice he has a mentorship with Susan. So Susan and Marcus have had this great relationship, and she's kind of helped guide him along the way. As you can see, she's the vice president of global support, and he just kind of realized that he might want to be a manager of global support. So this relationship for them is very, very valuable as he's looking to grow his career. And down here on the right side, he just has some worker connections that are important for him to be connected to inside of the organization. So when you think about all of this insight that he has, this is what gives your company that move to a more continuous performance model that ensures that your employees are engaged and helps improve that employee retention. So let's go in to his reviews and feedback. And let's get some feedback on himself. So as Marcus is looking to make this growth, this change, he's now going to ask for some feedback from his mentor. So he can ask several different workers if he wants to, but in this situation, he's just going to ask his mentor, Susan. He can choose who wants to see the feedback, and then he gets to select from a feedback template exactly what he would want to get. So he's asking for feedback from him. He likes this idea of how can you be a better team member? What do you think my greatest strengths are? What's one area or skill that I can focus on improving? Those are all good feedbacks for him to get from his mentor. But he wants to add one more as he's looking to make this change. He's going to say, I'm interested in being a manager, would love your insight on how to best align myself with this goal. So now Susan's going to get this from Marcus, and they're going to be able to collaborate a little bit better in a mentor relationship and help Marcus get from point A to point B. As you can see, the business process framework always allows the user to know what's happening next. Earlier, when I added the job to my job interest, that business process was completed because I got that green check. But as an employee, he can now see what's next in the business process. So up next is Susan to give that feedback from that requested feedback back to Marcus. Now let's jump back to our talent and performance management dashboard, because I want to dive in a little bit to our goals here. So he can see his goals with visual indicators telling him where he falls on the goals. But he really wants to maintain the focus of his current year too, right? So he is looking to move forward, but he still has to stay focused on what he's doing and how he's meeting or exceeding his goals in the organization for the role that he sits in right now. So from here, he can edit his goals. He says right here, provide win-win solutions for customers. He's also got reduce customer complaints related to employee experiences. One thing that I love the most about goals at Workday is my ability to collaborate with my manager. So it makes it a more social and meaningful experience for me. As I look down here at things like, if I did something for this, for example, he can go in here and he could tag Amelia, who's his current boss. Amelia is going to get a notification that Marcus is communicating back and forth with her on this goal. I had a great experience today with a customer where we compromised on a solution to make the experience a win-win. And now he can post that. So with that, there's now an activity stream that's helping Marcus and Amelia see all of those benchmarks throughout the year that are contributing to this goal. All of this can also be pushed into the performance review where all of that dialogue will sit and live for him. So let's go ahead and submit that change on his goal. All right, so now he's finished that business process as well. So jumping back over to the talent and performance dashboard, the last thing that he needs to do is he's going to grow and get towards that manager role is he needs to start himself a development plan. This is going to help him fine-tune those skills that he needs to be the right candidate for this particular position. So he's going to go in and he's going to do a career development plan. We'll start it today and we'll end it, let's say 6 months from now. And now he's submitted that development plan. So for him, from here, he can go in and start to set up that content and really help him develop skills that he needs in order to be able to be the perfect candidate for this job. This helps employees achieve their career aspirations because it empowers them to be proactive with their goals and development plans. We want to retain our good employees versus having to recruit and retrain. Now let's go over to Marcus's worker profile. Back to the power of that single system. Workday not only knows that all there is to know about a worker, but it also makes the data accessible with just a few clicks. So if I look at my worker profile, he sees data that would traditionally be housed in numerous systems, such as payroll and performance and learning and talent acquisition. He can review his professional profile, which in this situation acts as his internal resume. So this is where you can see his job history, the skills that he has, any of the feedback or experience that he has. Marcus, as well as his management and HR team, appreciate that there's one single system and one version of his profile in Workday, and that there's never going to be confusion about which version of his resume is sitting out there. So having all of this information in one system allows your users to be more efficient. They no longer have to spend time learning or logging in to different systems. So now Marcus can go back and he could add or look at what he has in his career category. This is everything about his career. So this allows him to say, am I willing to move? Am I willing to make a job change? What learning have I done? You know, what do I want to do as a career? And here's where you see that job interest where he added that manager of global support And now he's delivered with those open opportunities and with one click can go ahead and apply, utilizing that job resume that we just saw to the job that he needs. So it allows Marcus to really have full control and take the reins on his career mobility. Now, last but not least, right here in his inbox, he has two different tasks. One was for that development plan that we looked at, where he could walk through and create that development plan. The second is to update his talent review. So as you see all of this rich data inside the system, you want to be able to take control and you want to make sure that you have the latest and greatest information inside the system so that your employers and managers can truly see the full complexity and breadth of your professional experience. So this task is asking Marcus to go in and make sure that that's updated to its fullness. Has he got any different certifications recently? Has he taken any courses or developed any new skills? From here, he can see, here's my job details. Those are still correct. That's what he's currently doing. He can move here and look at his internal job profile history. So what has he done looking as far as the history of his job? And he can just continue to go through this and make the changes as he needs. Maybe he wants to take out some of his worker experience or add some new worker experience. All the way through things like education, training, maybe he got new awards. Maybe he's changed his ability to be willing to travel. Things have changed in his life and he can actually travel 75%. And he's willing to relocate inside the United States or even globally for this position. So as you can see, this is where he's really making sure that his talent profile is filled out to the best it can be as he's going to make these changes in the organization. And now, last but not least, sitting in his notifications box is a survey for him. This is asking Marcus to give feedback to the organization about how engaged he is in the organization. He's feeling really energized by what he's been able to accomplish today. He hasn't had to log into other systems. He's been able to review his talent information, uncover new opportunities, develop a plan to advance his career, and collaborate with others to help him achieve his goal. He knows that once he's ready to apply for his job that he's going for, it'll be within that same system, leveraging all that rich data that he just put in, allowing himself to be the best candidate in the organization. So for this reason, he's more than happy to provide feedback and respond to this quick survey to help his organization as they continue to focus on people enablement and engaging the workforce, all in one seamless and effortless system. So he's going to jump in and he's going to take this survey. So this survey is getting metrics based on the organization about how the employee is engaged. Two words that best describe our culture: fun and flexible. I feel valued at work. Yes. I see myself here in 5 years. So think about the power of those three simple questions to gauge your organization and make sure you are trending towards that people engagement and getting that retention risk lowered in your organization. So now that Marcus submits that survey, the organization can now run reports and see consistencies and areas of improvement running across the entire organization from an employee engagement perspective. We know that more engaged employees means lower retention risk, which is the ultimate goal of an organization. So one of our customers, it was the first time that they experienced 100% completion of performance review. After Workday, they realized a value savings of over $300,000 a year and $190 per employee. We have another professional and services industry that achieved 27% increase in completion of performance reviews due to Workday delivering a global system of record that includes managing performance goals. We were able to see a great experience for employee engagement and an employee like Marcus Severino really being able to take the reins on his career. We're going to transition now to a manager's perspective, but let's start with the basics. As we know, every single business wants to succeed. We wouldn't be in business if we didn't, but how do we help you navigate that experience? How do you really map the voyage of being a successful company? So much of it is attributed to your leadership and your managers. So think about the managers. What can they do to retain employees like Marcus in the organization, as well as take control of their own career and their upward growth as well? Well, they know that they have to develop their employees for the future. They have to optimize that experience for each and every employee. No matter what type of performer they are, it still has to be a personalized journey for each and every individual in the organization. So as we look at the manager experience, we'll be looking at Susan Steinberg, where we'll be able to see things like transactions, analytics, and actions all living in the exact same system. And Susan's going to be able to demonstrate the unprecedented visibility that she has into her team, her team's opportunity, growth, and performance. So let's go ahead and get started on the demonstration. So I've now logged in as a manager, Susan Steinberg, from my iPad. Because Workday is one single system, we're designed to meet you where you work. So if you want to be working on your iPad as a manager or your iPhone, you don't have to be tethered to a desk or a browser in order to do the tasks that you need to do as a manager. As you can see, we provide the same inbox and notification frameworks for the manager when logged in on the browser, as well as on mobile. So what we see here is, again, those catered announcements that are relevant to Susan, the frequently used applications. So Workday's tracking what applications are used the most and delivering the employee with the experience that's catered to their personalized needs. She can also see when her next payment is or when her last payment was, and view her pay slips right here from the homepage, or she can go ahead and request time off. All of these activities would typically take place in different systems. So this tailored user experience provides visibility and engagement no matter what role you have in the organization. So let's start with the inbox. Remember, I told you the inbox is that area where tasks sit for people to do. So remember how Marcus had asked Susan for some feedback on his performance and how he can be a better team member and get closer to his goal. She can now go into here and submit this feedback for Marcus. Marcus, you are doing a great job, period. One area of improvement would be in organization, period. I think that you could really hone in on these skills, which would help you become a better manager in the future, period. And then she can go through all of these questions and even see this one that was outside of the template that asked him, I'm interested in being a manager, would love to see insight on how I can best align myself. So she right here from her mobile device can complete this important feedback for Marcus and submit that business process, giving it back to him. Now, Workday's business process framework helps me keep the guardrails up. So as I went to try to submit this before it was complete, it gave me an error telling me a response is required before submitting this task for him. It's making me make sure that I stay inside the guardrails and I don't submit non-quality responses. In this same inbox, you can see things like expense reports, compensation and merit reviews, financial plans, really highlighting that power of one experience all inside the worker's inbox. But let's head back to the home page and let's take a look at some visibility that Susan has on her team. So as she comes to her team worklet here, she sees all of her direct reports. Now, she's a vice president of global support, so she obviously manages managers who also manage other managers. So her org chart is very deep and thick. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of her team members, Scott. He's managing 4 employees, and Susan wants to know who those 4 employees are. Well, just by clicking on that team, she's now looking at that same report, but from Scott's perspective. So now those 4 direct reports are sitting right here, where he can even go one step further and see who Amelia is managing as well, knowing that she's having conversations with Marcus and that Marcus is on Amelia's team. Now, as I click on Amelia, I'm delivered with Amelia's worker profile, spanning across pay, benefits, performance, career. But that single security model that I talked about at the beginning is pervasive throughout Workday. So I'm only going to be able to see the information about Amelia that is defined by the role and the relationship between Susan and Amanda. Now, if you look at consumer applications, you'll start to see consistencies like this ... So as you click that ... that's saying, I have something that I want to do to Amanda. So this is where the actionability lives inside the system. So I can see here that Amanda's got a lot of different things that I could do from her, from job changes to compensation changes to talent information, all inside the same system. But what I want to do is I just want to provide her with some quick feedback. I told you guys at Workday that we really, really value that peer-to-peer feedback, and it really helps motivate us in our career and make us better employees. So I want everyone to see this because Amelia's been doing such a great job helping Marcus become a manager. Thank you so much for providing support for Marcus as he begins this exciting career journey at our company, period. You are such an asset to our organization, ! Thank you for everything you do. Right. Now I can give her a badge as well. So maybe I want to give her a badge to say what a great idea you've had, or you've been helpful or a hero, or maybe just to say thank you. In this situation, I'm going to give her a helpful badge and submit that. At this point, Amelia is going to get notification of this great feedback she just received from the Vice President of Global Support, as well as her manager. So it's a domino effect of happiness and engagement for the employee as they're seeing that their hard work is paying off. Now, I'm sitting in Amanda's worker profile again, and I know that we have some performance reviews coming up, and she has been outstanding. So I actually want to tag her so I remember to highlight those skills. I'm tagging her to what we call a notebook. I'll show you the notebooks in just a few minutes, but anything inside of the application can be tagged to a notebook for easy organization. And you can share these notebooks with other people, and they'll only be able to see the information that they're allowed to see based on that security profile that I just mentioned. Let's go back to Susan's team, and let's talk about a couple of the reports that we see here. So she can see her team members, as well as she can see her matrix team members, all in the same place. Now, what our customers really love is this stats report. So what Susan's looking at as it pertains to her team, she's got actionable core system of record. Anytime you see that underline on those employees, that means that with one tap, I will be in their worker profile, that core system of record that holds everything that I need about my employees. She can see information about retention and loss impacts, as well as length of service. She's got some talent metrics here as well. Are they high potential? What are their current and previous ratings? But notice, because of that power of one, she's also seeing organizational information, compensation information, and any succession planning information all in the same place. So Susan's able to have a comprehensive view of her employees from her mobile device at the point in time that she needs it. Now, if we jump over here to talent and performance, we can see reports that are relevant to Susan. She wants to know how she's balancing out her review ratings, as well as if she's paying for performance. Now, we can drill down into any of these reports if we want to. So as I look here, I might want to see these two different numbers based on what job profile they're in, or what management level they're in, or what location they sit in. But what I want to do in this situation is I also want to tag this review rating summary. So I already tagged Amelia there, but I also want to put this report there. So as I'm doing my talent reviews, I can make sure that I'm distributing the right reviews out to the right people and keeping some consistency in my organization. Now, the last thing I see here on my team is the idea of employee reviews. So as a manager, Susan's able to see where she is, where each employee is in their employee review. What she notices with Katerina is that that manager evaluation is due for her. So as she clicks on that icon, she can see now that she's able to jump with one tap into this employee review. So by clicking that orange button, she's inside the business process, and she has two different options. She can edit everything on one page, or she can do the guided editor, which lets her do one section at a time. So as she's in the guided editor, notice that everything is broken down for her. She can go through and do her whole team's goals in one night, and maybe do the competencies the next night and the development items the next night. And she just simply has a wizard-like experience that walks her through this employee review. So here we can see her goal is to improve customer service by 10%. She could go ahead and give a rating to that. She's done a good job with that. And she can see that rating and then submit into the next portion of the performance review. Our customers can complete performance reviews from start to finish on their mobile device. And we'll also give them that experience that if I was to stop right here, I could jump back onto the browser should I want to and continue doing it in that experience as well. I've also got an activity stream. Remember when I put activity on that one goal as Marcus? Well, this is where that would live inside your performance review, really allowing employees and managers to collaborate about the experience that they're having as their performance is concerned. Now, we tagged a couple of different things to notebooks. We tagged Amelia and we had tagged a report. So notebooks actually came to us from an advertising company in California called 72andSunny. And what they wanted to be able to do is they wanted to be able to combine information that's relevant to them in these notebooks and share them across the organization so that they could collaborate on the same data and the same reports, but not being tethered to their desk. They actually had an idea of walking meetings. So rather than sitting in a boardroom together, they carried their iPads around and they collaborated on the information that they were looking at inside of these notebooks. So if you open up this notebook, She can see Amelia, she's tagged in here, and then the review ratings summary. So these really, really, really are powerful inside of Workday. Four Seasons actually uses Notebook for their review sessions. This allows their managers to organize the notebooks by topics and location, and it keeps them proactive and efficient. So Workday's single security model also makes sure that the right people have the access to the right information. So we could share really, really highly sensitive reports through these notebooks. And if you are receiving it on the end, your security model and your role will dictate what you can see from those notebooks. So we're going to transition back to the browser now, where we can see what the talent experience looks like from a manager's perspective on browser. So now we've transitioned back to Susan's browser experience. As you can see, there's consistencies that run both in any type of application, in any one of the ways you're utilizing our application, on browser or on iPad. Down here, she can see those tasks with a quick and easy access in her inbox, as well as her announcements. And you can start to see that because she's a manager, she has more access to things like dashboards and the areas where she'd have to do approvals, because she has a team that she has to manage, unlike Marcus, who was just an individual employee. So if we take a look at our team performance worklet here, we can see comprehensive information for a manager that would help them be better at their job. So she can see that she's got coaching and continuous conversations that need to happen. And then she sees information about the power of anytime feedback, which I've discussed multiple times. This helps it stay in the forefront of managers' mind to get out there and continue to increase that culture that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. Now, she also has insight up here in the top left to her performance review status. So she can see where she is in her performance reviews during the performance review season and see which ones are in progress versus complete versus not yet started. Down here, she can track her team's goals. So she has that visual representation of each of her employees and the goals that they're working on. If she wants to see this with more depth, by simply clicking on View More, she's now able to see this in a grid-like fashion by worker or by goal, and she can add goals directly from here. So she can go into Bettina and see that activity stream and see how she's actually doing in the organization. This is where she can also comment back to her. Great job on this. Keep up good work. Again, Bettina will be notified of this post, and this dialogue and collaboration will be implemented into her performance review. Now, you can also do cascading goals. So organizations are able to actually contribute goals all the way to the top of their organization, which gives your company, your employees in your company, a little bit more ownership in the success that's happening holistically as a company, rather than just worrying about their own goals as individuals. Now, down here at the middle of the page, you see we can get those opportunity graphs for others. So maybe as a manager, I want the insight that Marcus had, so I can help fine-tune the skills of people in my organization and help them get to a different job internally as well. So this gives me the insight I need for what might be a good move for those individuals on my team. Now, you can also see your team's rating summary. So when she sees her team's rating summary, she can see that a lot of them are meeting expectations. She's got 24 here that exceed expectations. Maybe she wants to know more about them. For example, maybe she wants to know where these employees are coming from and what hiring source they come from. Well, now she can see that the majority of those employees are coming from employee referrals. Workday gives you the ability to track employee referrals, and because it's one single system, you're able to automate things like incentivize payment plans for employee referrals at the 90-day mark of starting. But as I look at this here, I can see the employee referrals are really, really big, and I can click right onto that number. And that's telling me who are the 10 exceeding expectation employees that were referred based on an employee referral. And because Workday is one core system of record, I can go right here to Marcus Severino, who we've been talking about all day, and now I'm in his core system of record, his people worker profile, where I can see everything that I need to know about Marcus. So maybe I can come down here and I can look at his career tab. So now Workday is giving me the insight of what Marcus has expressed for his job interests, for his development items. What type of potential employee is he? Is he promotable? What's his achievable level? What would it feel like if we lost him in the organization? He has succession profiles and talent cards. The list goes on and on for us to be able to have that comprehensive view of Marcus as it pertains to his career and development mobility inside the organization. Now let's wrap up our management experience on one more dashboard. We're going to go down to our talent management dashboard, where Susan's able to see information like if we're paying for performance, Or are there competency gaps that I have? But let's take a little bit of a slow walk through this page to really see the power of the analytics that's being delivered from Workday. So the top left here, she can see her team's talent summaries. She has visual indicators that are helping her bring her eye to things that are important areas of need. For example, she has a high potential, high retention risk employee who has great current ratings in Elsa Ramos Vasquez. So because of your reporting and your analytics and transactions being in the same place, from right here, Susan can go in and give her a one-time payment or a stock grant or a compensation change, or maybe she could transfer or promote her from here. So the point in time of finding information, employees are able to take action and make sure that we're staying proactive in our organization rather than being reactive. We just talked a little bit about hiring sources. Now we're looking at a report that's telling us our performance by hiring sources. So we can see these top performers and find out exactly where they're coming from. That way we can start to use our dollars and recruiting tactics in the right manner, knowing that we're doing so based on data. She also has succession plans at risk. So which jobs out there have risk of not having a successor in their role? A lot of our companies will start with higher level roles to start their succession planning, but the breadth and the depth of succession planning in Workday is really incredible. She can see her team's rating summaries. We saw that a few minutes. You can also see information about termination. So she can see of my voluntary terminations, what is their reason? Why are they, what is their termination reason? Why are we losing these good employees? And then able to see a nice delivered report about the talent metrics for the manager based on different performance metrics. So as you can see right here on One Delivered dashboard, you've got extreme information about the talent that you have on your team and in your organization. So let's switch gears a little bit and go into an executive experience. As an executive in an organization, you have top business priorities that you have to focus on. Let's discuss a couple of those. First, as we've talked about all day, you have to retain and grow talent. You also want to achieve and maintain profitability for your organization to continue upward growth. All the while, you have to preserve that company culture that at the beginning we talked about was so incredibly important for an employee's experience. And finally, you can't focus only on the present. You have to predict and plan for the future of your organization. So as we look at the executive experience from Logan McNeil's perspective, we'll see all the strategic advising that she's able to do, and we'll be able to wrap it all back around that concept where we started, which was the power of one. As an executive, Logan loves that with Workday, she's spending her time analyzing data instead of gathering data. She's presented with many dashboards and analytics to help her, but she also appreciates scorecards that give her a 10,000-foot view while still allowing her to get the answers to the questions and maintain the ability to drill in for detail. Workday delivers multiple scorecards as standard in order for the insight leaders to get the information that they've been craving since day one. We also make it very effortless for our executives to be able to find the information that they need about their organization. So let's start on one of our scorecards called the Executive Workforce Scorecard. So this is a scorecard that allows this executive to answer really important and critical questions in her organization. Questions like, who do we have? How are they doing? How are we paying? And who are we losing? All in one single spot. I know that our CEO of our company consistently lives on this scorecard, so he's able to really see the health of our organization across the entire globe. Any of these reports that you see, you can have collaboration on, where you're actually collaborating about the metric that you see, and you also have the visual indicators that help the executives put their attention where they need to put their attention. Let's tap into this worker headcount. Oftentimes, it's really difficult to just find a real-time worker headcount in your organization. So what we have here is we can see how many people are in our organization divided out by employee or contingent worker. So let's take a look at our employees and try to find some more specific information about them. So let's drill into this number by finding out who the employees are in the organization that are considered top employees. So here we see that we have 138 top performers in this organization. Well, I want to know more. So I'm going to drill one step further and see which of those are a high loss impact and retention risk. So now I've found really good information with just a couple of clicks, where I've been able to find my top performers that would be a huge loss impact to my organization, and they're considered a retention risk. So I want to find more about these employees. So now I'm looking at all 12 of these employees in my organization that are top performers and high retention risk. And what I need to do as an executive is I need to tag these employees to a flight risk pool. So that way I can quickly and easily search them and help find them a way to stay engaged in our organization. So from here, I'm going to tag them to the flight risk pool. And just like that, I've taken mass action on these 12 employees, putting them all in one central location so that I can do what I need to do with them in order to keep them here in my company. Now, what if I want to see what those talent pools look like? Let's take a look using Workday's Google-like search, simple search functionality, and let's say View Talent Pool. Notice with Workday, you only have to type a couple of letters to be delivered with results that are specific to your security role. So as I go to look at this talent pool, I want to take a look at that flight risk pool that we just tagged those individuals to. So now that we're looking at our flight risk pool, we can see an overview information about them from the members, from where they've been hired from, and what talent metrics they have. We can see how their compensation is, how much we're spending on each of these employees, as well as the jobs that they hold. So when I look at this report, I know that I've got 13 items here that I need to take action on. There's things that I need to do to keep these people in my organization. So let's take a look at Marcus, since we've been following his journey today. I'm going to take a related action on him because I want to see his retention risk recommendations. So as I go to the talent tab here, I can view Marcus's retention risk recommendations. So what this is telling me as an executive is here's some opportunities that Marcus would be ready for. Here's some opportunities that people like Marcus have also done and been successful. Notice here that manager of global support that we saw earlier from his opportunity graph is a good opportunity for Marcus at the point in time of where he is in his organization. So that's good information for us to have as we look to retain Marcus inside the company. Now let's go back and take a look at a different dashboard. Let's take a look at a talent management dashboard. Now we did that from the manager's perspective, but notice because we're logged in as Logan as an executive, she sees different reports and different metrics that are delivered to her based on what's important to her and the role that she holds inside the organization. So we can see information like talent pipeline, performance by potential, different reports that are important to us. We can also see the breakdown of our team's talent summary and succession plan information. Let's take a look at the succession plans at risk with a little bit more detail. So now what I'm looking at is a succession plan at risk report that's giving me talent metrics, flight risk metrics, what status the plan's in, who is the successor in the program, in the plan, what is their achievable letter, and what other succession plans are they a part of. So I have all the comprehensive information I need in order to keep my headcount filled with the right talent at the right time. So if I look at these red indicators, I know that I can go into those and take action as well. So I could go into this particular director of consulting services, and I can take a look at that succession plan. Now I can see that it's triggering red because I don't have anyone ready for this position in less than 2 to 3 years. So Workday allows me to not have to navigate somewhere else in order to go out into the organization and actually search those workers who might be a good fit. So I know that I need someone maybe that has an HDI customer service representative certification. Being able to drill that down and being able to see what companies they've worked for, what competencies they have, are they in a critical job? I want to make sure that they maybe are a regular employee, and I can drill those down to more specific details. From here, I'm able to select all or just a few of them that maybe I want to add them to a pool that might be a good succession pool. So as I go here, I can add them to that succession plan, maybe as employees who are ready now for that particular position. I can also compare these workers side by side. If I wanted to look at Hector and Hema, I can compare them to see who is the right candidate for me to add to the succession plan at this point. All from the report that was triggering my eye to let me know that there was something that needed to be done for that succession plan. So let's jump back into that report, our succession plans at risk report. And let's go down here. We see some director positions. Notice the manager of global support is triggering a red as well. So when the manager of global support is triggering red, it's because there's only one successor in the plan. We actually need to add Marcus to this plan as well. So from here, we're going to navigate our way into the plan. And we're going to look and see why. Right here, we can see that we just have Brian Kaplan on the succession plan. So let's drill into it just a little bit more. And now we're looking at the succession plan, back to that place where we can see the history of it or find workers for it. However, I know the workers that I need to have here, so I'm simply going to take a related action and manage the succession plan from here. Now notice, as I tap into this transaction, Workday is delivering me with dynamic reports that help me make this decision. I can see the analysis around the succession plan. I can see other workers who have expressed interest in this job and retention risk prediction information as well. So what I want to do is I want to add Marcus to this plan. There's Marcus. We can say that he's an internal candidate and he's ready now. After all of this comprehensive information and feedback we've gotten on him, we're able to say that he is truly ready for this position right now. So let's go ahead and submit that business process. And we can see that that process is now successfully completed. So when we go back into our succession plan, we can see all the metrics that we need, the job details, the job description, the position overview for this particular role that we're considering Marcus for. We can go back into our succession plan at risk report. And now we can see that Marcus will be sitting on the manager of global support as well. So let's jump back over to our talent management dashboard and look at a couple of different reports. So now we have our performance by potential and agility. We're looking at a 9-box. With Workday, you don't have to have a 9-box, a 3x3. You can organize your metrics and information however you'd like to. If you wanted to have a 1x5 and just compare comprehensive performance review ratings, you could do that as well. We don't hold you or tie your hands to what you need. So now we're looking at this 9-box, performance by potential. And notice that similarity of what we just saw when we were looking for find workers. I could go in and I could look at these facets. Maybe I just want to interact with the 8 employees that sit in San Francisco. Or maybe I want to find those who are proficient in a certain talent competency, or maybe a certain talent pool that we have, or a management chain. That search-like facet reporting in Workday is pervasive no matter which section of the organization that you're in. So speaking of calibration, let's look at it from a task perspective. So as we're calibrating and we're trying to get our talent into the right boxes, we can see things like, as Logan goes into her inbox, she's got a lot of different activities that really span across the organization and the board for her. So she could go in here, and she's got workforce planning, she's got talent calibration, she's got calibration of performance reviews. Let's jump into that one real quick and see what that looks like. So because she is an executive, she can either manage or she can facilitate this calibration. So we're going to go ahead and facilitate this and for our global support center. Notice all of those different organizations that she gets to choose from for her talent and performance calibration. Now, as she gets on, she's delivered with an instruction manual. She can see here that this is where the actions take place. If she wants to look at it from a different view, she can toggle her views here. She can see those who have been unplotted, and she can filter like we just discussed. So let's go ahead and get started. So she can always close this out for a better view, and she can, and making her screen real estate just a little bit bigger. She may want to see this from one perspective versus the other, and she now has the ability to drag and drop individuals that she needs to in order to make sure that she calibrates her team with success. She could also hide workers if there were workers who were part of the calibration process, but they were also in the room. She has the ability to hide those workers as well, so that she can still continue working on the task of calibration. So this is where your team might sit around and subjectively discuss where the employees should fall as far as their expectations go inside the organization. Now let's head back home and let's talk a little bit about retention risk. Workday gives you a report or dashboard called the Retention Analysis Dashboard. So this is where she's able to see things like top 10 things that contribute to retention risk, or retention risk levels, or why are we losing our employees, or when are we losing our employees, what locations, what organizations. This allows executive management to stay on the forefront and be proactive at making sure that you're reducing that retention risk in your organization. So when I look at these retention risk levels, I see that I've got 133 high risk. Now, if I drill that by, maybe I want to know of those high risk, who's going to have the most critical loss impact on my team? So now I see I've got 36 that would be a significant loss. I might want to know of these employees, where are they coming from? Oh, look, there's that employee referral again. I've got 13 high-risk employees that are coming from employee referrals. So if I look at the details here, I can see all the employees in my organization that are employee referrals, including Marcus Severino. We've been working with Marcus all day, so it's important for us to stay on the forefront of this and understand that Marcus is actually a high retention risk and a large loss impact. Now, Workday's also delivered us with what would be a good move for him. So I have all the information I need in order to keep him in my organization. Workday uses machine learning with talent to monitor over 52 distinct factors to alert businesses of a retention issue. The Retention Risk Insight application relies on the available data in areas like voluntary termination transactions, performance, comp changes, job profile changes, management level hierarchy. With this information, Logan can make the right decision and make sure that she's keeping people where she needs to and making sure that talent core is tapped into and utilized in the best area. So let's go ahead and let's make a change here. With all of this information that we found about Marcus, it seems like the right thing to do would be to promote him into the job that he's wanted and he's expressed interest in. His manager has determined that he has everything he needs to be a part of it. And let's transition him in to that global support manager job. So I'm logging in now as Scott Wilkinson, knowing that I've got the task of promotion sitting inside of his inbox. Now, from anywhere on the page with those core systems of record, I would have been able to promote Marcus into this role. We can see now that that promotion sits for that final approval, a review by his receiving manager, who will be Scott Wilkinson. He has all the information on this page to make the right decision. Who will be the manager? Who has been removed? Which team will the person be on? Which team will be removed? Do we want to use the next pay period? What are the positions and the job profile details, as well as business titles, locations, any attachments or organizations that might pertain to this particular transaction? His compensation history is here as well. What are those pay range guidelines? What were they? What will they be? What package is he a part of? He was a team member. Now he's a manager. You can see all the different grade profiling. And now I can go ahead and approve this transaction. So as we see this approval, it's going to flow back to Logan McNeil for the compensation change for Marcus. So the business process framework is really guiding this particular business process and making sure that all of the tasks that correspond and go along with a promotion are being done by the appropriate people. So when Logan logs in now, she'll see that she has a new task awaiting her action to approve this compensation change for Marcus as he's getting this new promotion in the organization. Now, luckily, she had the insights that she needed to understand and know that Marcus is the perfect candidate for this job. So she's going to go ahead and send this approval over to the controller for more details. From here, the business process framework would take place, and that business process transaction would move all the way into Marcus's experience, allowing him to have a new experience when he logs into Workday and a completely different onboarding experience where he's able to find things like how does he have one-on-one conversations, how does he manage goals as a manager's perspective, and being able to see him in this organization take true leadership and control of his career. So now as Logan comes back in to finalize his promotion, part of the business process allows Logan to actually set up his onboarding experience as a new manager. So she could put in different messaging. Maybe he would want to meet different people or have different people that would be helpful contacts for him. She's able to truly make this a personalized journey for Marcus, like we talked about when we were looking at those key initiatives from organizations. So now as she submits that business process, we can see who's up next as a part of this promotion actually rolls right on over to Marcus himself. So as we go into Marcus's experience, this is where you're truly able to see the seamless and effective power of one, because Workday is recognizing that Marcus has a new role in the organization, and with that new role comes new responsibilities. So he can see right here as he logs on, congratulations on your promotion. It's sitting right there for him with a task in order to jump into his onboarding, where he can see things that are relevant to him, and he's delivered with new tasks based on his new role. So think about the power of your CEO being able to say, congratulations on your promotion and highlight the company in which he's being promoted. He's able to see the CHRO giving him a nice warm welcome to the new job. And he's able to tap right into Workday Learning in order to become a better and stronger leader faster. He also instinctively knows who his manager is. He's got a note from his manager, people that he should meet. He's delivered again with those core values and helpful management reports and tasks as he's transitioning to this new experience as a manager. And now he can go in and he knows that his inbox is now delivering him with things that are relevant to his experience as a manager inside the organization. So if you think about what we did over the past hour, is we were able to start from an employee's experience, and we were able to fine tune and make a very thorough career profile for him in order for him to be highlighted by managers and executives, fix succession plans by filling those voids with people who have also expressed interest in it without having to go outside and recruit and retrain different employees. This turned out to be a win-win situation for the entire organization. Marcus was able to have that upward internal career growth. Logan's succession plan was no longer triggering a red flag. And Susan was able to know that the person that she's mentored throughout the way has made it to the next step of their career journey. So we started today in an area where employees and employers were divided. What employers wanted was engagement and retention, and what employees wanted was culture and opportunity. And what Workday has done is remove that divide between the employers and the employees, and it's allowed them to truly have what they want from a culture and opportunity standpoint, all the while engaging them and retaining that talent so that they could be the best that their organization could be. Thank you for spending the last hour or so with me. And please feel free to reach out to your Workday team should you have any questions or need any more information about Workday's powerful talent and performance management.